Hello and welcome, I'm Chris and this is the Hair Tutorial channel, and on this channel I give you tips and tricks on becoming a better hairdresser. So whether it's hair cutting, colouring, blow drying or business, I'm here to give you a helping hand with my knowledge. So whether you're new to hairdressing or you're just after the latest trends, this is the channel for you. And on this week's video I'm going to be talking about blow drying hair, and specifically blow drying for volume. I'll be giving you my top tip and showing you the technique behind it. Okay, so before we start blow drying, here are some tips to get you started, and the first one is actually to do with over drying the hair before you start. Now obviously you've shampooed and conditioned your client and you're ready to start blow drying, but you don't want to remove too much moisture before you start blow drying. Some stylists you'll see blast off the hair until it's very dry and then start. Now the blow drying process removes the water from the hair and restructures the hair into the shape that you want. If you remove too much of the moisture and you're trying to get a wave or you're trying to get some volume, you actually won't be able to achieve this if the hair is too dry. Also, if you're adding product and the hair is very dry, you might make the hair sticky. So really I find just a thorough towel drying is more than enough. You don't want your client saturated in water, but you do want the hair damp enough to start the process. Now the second thing is when it comes to actually applying the product as well. A lot of stylists will apply the product all over before they even start the blow dry. However, I don't like to do this. I like to apply it to the sections as I'm working through the hair. So you can see the first section I'm going to be working on is on my back, and that I've sectioned out the two side sections. So to start with, I'm just going to apply to the back section. Then when I come to the sides, if they've dried out too much, I can damp them down a little bit with a water spray and then apply my product. This is going to give me a better end result. Now when it comes to applying the product, you really, especially when it comes to getting volume, want to make sure that you're getting it in at the root. Again, holding the spray up here and spraying it into sort of more of the mid-lengths and ends isn't going to achieve what you want. So you really want to apply the product to the root area. So I would suggest just very quickly going through and taking large sections and applying the product to the root area. Then you can start your blow dry. And in some instances, I'll even take my sections nice and neatly and cleanly and apply the product section by section as I go. And this is particularly important if I'm working on Asian or Indian hair, which is a little bit more stubborn than European. Finally, before we start blow drying, is your brush choice. There are many different sorts out there, but for doing something like this, we're going to be using our round brush to get maximum volume. Now again, you don't want the round brush too large because this will not get into the root area. But at the same time, you don't want it too small because this is going to make the blow dry very long and very difficult for yourself. So the general rule of thumb is the longer the hair, the bigger the brush you can go without going really silly. I've got a GHD number 3 here, and that's about as large as I ever need to go. So you can see I'm going to start off by just taking rough sections and applying my product to the root area. And then a little bit through the mid-lengths and ends just to help with the drying process. Now I'm going to take nice neat sections. Now a good rule of thumb when it comes to sectioning is that your sections want to be about half the thickness of the brush or the roller, and this is going to give you a manageable section and you're going to be able to control it, get the brush in nice and tight and get plenty of volume. Now if I break this section into two and start blow drying it like this, I could end up actually creating a parting down the middle of my head, which I don't want. Now people tend to rush the blow drying process, but the neater the sections, the cleaner it is, and if you keep the sections to the right size, it will actually blow dry much quicker. When it comes to blow drying, always use a nozzle on your dryer. This serves a number of purposes. Firstly, it's going to help focus the heat. So again, it's going to help with our drying time to make it much quicker. Secondly, it's going to give us a much smoother result. We're actually going to be able to blow the hair and flatten this cuticle to give us a much smoother, cleaner look. So the more we lift it and the more we elevate it, the more volume we're going to be able to put into this root area. So again, this may mean adjusting your client's position or your position so that you can elevate it. So on this section, I'm going to heat the section up first. Now I'm going to roll my brush back down, apply a little bit of heat, and then switch my dryer to cool the section down and set it. And this will help add even more volume at that root area. Okay, so with the back blow dried in, now we're going to move to our sides and our top. So like I said, if these have dried out a little bit too much, you can always use a water spray just to damp them down. So I'm just going to take out my top section. From the temple, I'm going to take out this side and exactly the same on the other side. Now once again, I'm going to blow dry out the sides using exactly the same method that I did on the back. Then I'll show you a couple of ways you can do the top to achieve the most volume. Now remember, elevate the section and try to keep as much tension on the section as possible, and this will give you a nice straight, smooth effect. Also, using your wrist to rotate the brush is going to help smooth the cuticle down as well as distribute the heat through the hair. This can take some practice turning the brush as you bring it through the hair, but it will eventually come to you more naturally. So now we come to the top section. So with the top section, you could carry on blow drying up the sides to your parting. However, I think you get a better result if you actually come up like a Mohican and take sections across the head and blow dry straight up. Now, this can be a problem if you are a little bit short sometimes to actually reach the client. But remember, you're trying to get the root dry. So as long as you can get your brush in and you can get the root area dry, you can then lower your hands and lower the section down to blow dry the mid-lengths and ends. So as you can see, I'm elevating the root first and drying that. As I'm able to, I then work up, keeping the section as high as possible to dry off the rest of the hair. However, if you can't, as long as you can get the root area dry, you can then lower the section down to a more comfortable position as the volume has already been placed and dried into the root area. Okay, so now you've finished your blow dry and it's sort of 95% there. And now you're gonna finish it off. Now, you may want to finish it off by just going back over it with a large brush and really sort of smoothing it down, or you may want to use your straightening irons. Now remember, if you're using your straightening irons, these are a finishing tool. Use some heat protector and don't go too close to the root. You spent all this time putting that volume in, and if you put the straighteners too close to the root, you're going to remove that volume. Your root should be nice and straight and have lots of lift in it. And really, you're just using the straighteners to glaze over those ends and finish it off. Also now, you might move on to doing something like tonging it. And putting in a good blow dry before you tong is going to give you a much nicer effect. Again, a lot of the time if I'm doing hair up, people ask how I get such a nice clean finish. And the reason is I always start with a good blow dry. By putting in a nice blow dry, getting some volume in at the roots, those curls are going to be really nice and clean and crisp. So a good blow dry is like a cut. It's the foundation for which everything gets built on. And a good blow dry complements a good cut and a good color. And a lot of clients will always say to you, I can never blow dry my hair like you can. Well, part of the reason is we're able to move around the head and really get close into that root, which is very difficult when you're at home. The last thing a client wants is you to blast the hair dry and clamp it with the straightening irons. They can do that at home. What they want is the salon experience. They want their hair to be shiny, healthy and manageable. Now there are lots of different ways to blow dry, and this is the first in a series that I am going to do. So if you've liked it, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification button for weekly videos on everything hairdressing. And why not check out these other videos coming up?